ॐ गणनान्त्वा गणपतिगं भवामहे कविं कवीनामुपवस्त्रवस्त्रमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणान् बृहस्पतआनुशृण्वोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ महागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ केशवाय नमः, ॐ नारायणाय नमः, ॐ माधवाय नमः, ॐ गोविन्दाय नमः, ॐ मत्सूदराय नमः, त्रिविक्रमाय नमः, वामनाय नमः, श्रीधराय नमः, ऋषिकेशाय नमः, पद्मनाभाय नमः, दामोदराय नमः, संकर्षणाय नमः, वासुदेवाय नमः, प्रद्युम्नाय नमः, अनिरुद्धाय नमः, पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः, दोक्षाय नमः, नारसिंहाय नमः, अच्युताय नमः, जनार्दनाय नमः, उपेन्द्राय नमः, हरे नमः, श्री कृष्णाय नमः, हरि ओम। We just seventh chapter of the Bhagavath Purana of Saptam Skanda, seventh Skanda, also seventh canto and seventh chapter. Last time we finished, and summarizing the same chapter again. The classmates of Prahlada were asking him how he knows all this about Vishnu Tattva and all this bhakti and all those things, how he came to know. And then Prahlada said, within the womb of his mother, he had heard from the mouth of Narada Muni. He told all his disciples, all his classmates. That became very surprise to all of them. When Hiranyakashipu left his kingdom and went into the mountain called Mandarachala, mountain for austerities and tapas, all the demons scattered. Hiranyakashipu's wife Kayadu was pregnant at that time, and the gods Indra, mistakenly thinking that they carried another demon in her womb, arrested her. Their plan was that as soon as the child took birth, they would like to kill her boy. While they were talking, Kayadu, the mother of Prahlada, to the heavenly, while they were talking, Kayadu to the heavenly planets, they met Narada Muni. When Indra is taking Kayadu, Prahlada's mother, Narada Muni stopped him and taking, why are you doing this? And Narada Muni Ashrama. So Narada stopped Indra to take her and explaining that there is a big devotee of Narayana is going to come in this pregnancy. So leave her. So Narada Muni advice was accepted by Indra, accepted Narada Muni's advice. Narada Muni's ashrama, Kayadu came, and in the ashrama, Kayadu was prayed for the protection of the baby in her womb, spiritual knowledge, taking advantage of these instructions. Prahlada Maharaj, although a small baby within the womb, listened very carefully. The spirit soul is always apart from the material body. There is no change in the spiritual form of the living entity. Any person above the bodily conception of life is pure and can receive transcendental knowledge. The transcendental knowledge is a devotional service of Narayana, and Prahlada got this when he was living in the womb of his mother. Received instructions in devotional service from Narada Maharshi. Any person engaged in service of the Lord through the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master is immediately liberated from his life, and being free from the clutches of the Maya, he is relieved of all ignorance and material desires, of all the materialistic ideas. The duty of everyone is to take shelter of the Supreme Lord, and thus became free from all material desires. Regardless of the material condition in which one is situated, one can achieve this perfection. Devotion service is not dependent on the material activities of the activities and of the austerity, penance, mystic yoga, or piety. Even without such assets, one can achieve devotion service through the mercy of pure devotee. So by this understand this seventh chapter, he got all this knowledge from his guru, the Narada Muni. That's how the classmates of Narada Muni, the classmates of Prahlada, they were very, very surprised to listen to this incident of learning devotional service in the womb of their mother. So now we are coming to the 8th chapter. In the 8th chapter, Narasimha avatar taking place. The Eighth chapter is Lord Narasimha Deva appeared and slays the king of the demons Hiranyakashipu. Following the instruction of Prahlada, all the sons of the demons became attached to Lord Vishnu, the supreme person of Godhead. When this attachment became pronounced, their teachers, Chanda and Amarka, were very much afraid that the boys would become more and more devoted to the Lord Narayana. In a helpless condition, they approached Hiranyakashipu and described in detail the effect of Prahlada's preaching of Narayana devotion to all the classmates. After hearing of this, Hiranyakashipu decided to kill his son Prahlada. Hiranyakashipu was so angry that Prahlada Maharaja fell down at his feet and said many things just to pacify him. But he was unsuccessful in satisfying his demonic father. Hiranyakashipu, as a typical demon, began to advertise himself as a being greater than the supreme person of Godhead. But Prahlada challenged him, saying that Hiranyakashipu was not God, and began to glorify the supreme person of Godhead, Narayana, declaring that the Lord is still pervading, that everything is under him, and that no one is equal or greater than Narayana. Thus, he requested his father to be submissive to the omnipotent Narayana. The more Prahlada Maharaj glorified the supreme personality of Godhead, Narayana, the more angry and more agitated the Hiranyakashipu became. Hiranyakashipu asked this Vaishnava son whether this god is existed within the columns of the palace. Prahlada said, immediately accepted that since the Lord is present everywhere, he was also present in the pillar of the palace. When Hiranyakashipu heard this philosophy from his young son, he derided the boy's statement as just the talk of a child and forcefully struck the pillar with his fist. As soon as Hiranyakashipu struck the column, there issued forth a tumultuous sound. At first, Hiranyakashipu, the king of demons, could not see anything but the pillar. But substantiate Prahlada's statements, the Lord came out of the pillar in his wonderful incarnation as Narasimha Avatara, half lion and half man. Hiranyakashipu could immediately understand that the extraordinary wonderful form of the Lord was surely meant for his death. And thus he prepared to fight with the form of a half lion and half man. The Lord performed his pastimes by fighting with demon for some time, and in the evening, on the border between the day and night, the Lord captured the demon, threw him on his lap, and killed him by piercing his abdomen with his nails. The Lord not only killed Hiranyakashipu, the king of the demons, but also killed many of his followers in the palace. When there was no one else to fight, the Lord, roaring with anger, sat down on Hiranyakashipu's throne. The entire universe was thus relieved of the rule of Hiranyakashipu, and everyone was jubilant in transcendental bliss. Then all the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, approached the Lord. These included the great saintly persons, the Pitas, the Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Nagas, and Manus, and the Prajapatis and Gandharvas, the Charanas, Charanas, and Akshara, the Kimpurushas and Vaitalikas, the Kinnaras, and also many other varieties of beings in human form. All of them stood not far from the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narasimha and began offering their prayers unto the Lord, whose spiritual effluence was brilliant as a hat on the throne. This is a summary of the chapter, what I am going to read now. Sri Narada Uvacha, it starts with the 8th chapter starts with the Narada Uvacha. Ata daitya sutta sarve shrutva tadunavarannitam yugra nirvidyatanyeva gurvanu shikshikshitam. Narada telling, Narada Muni continued, all the sons of the demons appreciated the transcendental instructions of Prahlada Maharaja and took them very seriously. All Prahlada's classmates. They rejected the materialistic instruction given by their teachers Chanda and Amarka. This is the effect of preaching a pure devotee like Prahlada. If a devotee is qualified, sincere, and serious about Krishna consciousness, and if he follows the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master like Narada Maharshi did when preaching the instructions he had received from Narada Muni, his preaching is effective As it is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it became very effective. When Chanda and Amarka, the sons of Shukracharya, observed that all the students of the sons of demons were becoming advanced in Narayana's worship, because of the association of Prahlada, they were afraid. They approached the king Hiranyakashipu of the demons and described the situation as it was. When Hiranyakashipu understood the entire situation, he was extremely angry, so much so that his body trembled. Thus, he finally decided to kill his son Prahlada. Hiranyakashipu was by nature very cruel, and feeling insulted, he began hissing like a snake trampled upon by someone's foot. His son Prahlada was peaceful, mild, and gentle. His senses were under control, and he stood before Hiranyakashipu with folded hands. According to Prahlada's age and behavior, he was not to be chastised. Yet, with a staring, crooked eyes, Hiranyakashipu rebuked him with the following harsh words. When one is impudent toward a highly authorized devotee, one is punished by the laws of nature. The duration of his life is diminished. This is very important. One is impudent toward a highly authorized devotee, one is punished by the laws of nature. The duration of his life is diminished. Because Hiranyakashipu is punishing Prahlada unnecessarily, his duration of the life is going to diminish, and he loses the blessings of superior persons and the results of pious activities. Hiranyakashipu, for example, had achieved such a great power in the material world that he could subdue practically all the planetary systems in the universe, including the heavenly planets Swargaloka. Yet now, because of his mistreatment of such a Vaishnava devotee as Prahlada, all the results of his tapasya gradually diminished, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. When one mistreats great souls, his lifespan, opulence, reputation, religion, possessions, and good fortune are all destroyed. So do not trouble the Vaishnavas. Hiranyakashipu said, O most impudent, most unintelligent disruptor of the family, O lowest of mankind, you have violated my power to rule you, and therefore you are an absolute fool. Today I shall send you to the place of Yamaraja. So that's what the Hiranyakashipu said to Prahlada. My son Prahlada, you rascal, you know that when I am angry, all the planets of the three worlds tremble, along with their chief rulers. By whose power has a rascal like you become so impudent that you appear fearless and overstep my power to rule you? Prahlada said, my dear king, the source of my strength of which you are asking is also the source of yours. Indeed, the original source of all kinds of strength is one. He is not only your strength or mine, but the only strength for everyone. Without him, no one can get any strength. Whether moving or not moving, superior or inferior, everyone, including Lord Brahma, is controlled by the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. So that's what he declared. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, who is the supreme controller and time factor, is the power of the senses, the power of the mind, the power of the body, and the vital force of all the senses of all the human beings and all the living beings. His influence is unlimited. He is the best of all living entities, the controller of the three modes of material nature. By his own power, he creates this cosmic manifestation, maintains it, and annihilates it also. Since the material world is being moved by the three material modes of, and since the Lord is their master, the Lord can create, maintain, and destroy the material world. Prahlada Maharaj continued, my dear father, please give up your demoniac mentality. Do not discriminate in your heart between enemies and friends. Make your mind equipoised toward everyone, except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind. There is no enemy within the world. When one sees everyone on the platform of equality, all the people are equal in front of the God, Lord Krishna or Lord Narasimha. One then comes to the position of worshipping the Lord perfectly. Unless one is able to fix the mind at the lotus feet of the Lord Narayana, the mind is impossible to control. As Arjuna says in Bhagavad Gita, for the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it, it seems to me, is more difficult than controlling the wind. The only bona fide process for controlling the mind is to fix the mind by service to the Lord. We create enemies and friends according to the dictation of the mind. But actually, there are no enemies and no friends unless your mind decides to do that. So, in your pure mind, you should consider everybody equal. Then there is no enemies at all. Everybody is friend. Everybody is friendly. And everybody is devotee of Narayana, the dictation of the mind. But actually, there are no enemies and friends. Panditaha samadarshinaha sama sarveshu bhuteshu mada bhaktim labhyate param. This is the Bhagavad Gita says, to understand this is the preliminary condition for entering into the kingdom of devotional service. In former times, there were many fools like you and who did not conquer the 6 enemies and steal away the wealth of the body. These fools were very proud, thinking, I have conquered all enemies in all the 10 directions. But if a person is victorious over the 6 enemies and is equipoised toward all living entities, for him there are no enemies. Enemies are merely imagined by one in ignorance. Hiranyakashipu replied, you rascal, you are trying to minimize my value as if you were better than me at controlling the senses. This is over intelligent. I can therefore understand that you desire to die at my hands, for the kind of nonsensical talk is indulged in by those about to die. O most unfortunate Prahlada, you have always described a supreme being other than me, a supreme being who is above everything, who is the control of everyone, and who is also pervading. But where is he? If he is everywhere, then why is he not present before me in this pillar? So Hiranyakashipu put the question to Prahlada, if he is everywhere, then why he is not present before me in this pillar? So he showed a pillar. So because you are speaking so much nonsense, I shall now sever your head from your body. Now let me see your most worshipable God come to protect you. I want to see it. Demons always think that the God of the devotees is fictitious. They think that there is no God and that the so-called religious feeling of devotion to God is but an opiate. Being obsessed with anger, Hiranyakashipu, who was very great in bodily strength, thus chastised his exalted devotees and Prahlada with harsh words. Cursing him again and again, Hiranyakashipu took up his sword, got up from his royal throne, and with a great anger struck his fist against the column. So he hit the pillar. With a great anger, he struck his fist against the column. In the palace, he struck the pillar, he hit the pillar with his fist. Then from within the pillar came fearful sound, which appeared to crack the covering of the universe. Oh, my dear Yudhishthira, this sound reached even the abodes of the gods like Lord Brahma. And when the gods heard it, they thought, oh, now our planets are being destroyed. They were afraid the planet is going to be destroyed. While showing his extraordinary prowess, Hiranyakashipu, who desired to kill his own son, heard that wonderful tumultuous sound, which had never before been heard. Upon hearing the sound, the other leaders of the demons were afraid. None of them could find the origin of that sound in the assembly hall. To prove that the statement of his servant Prahlada was substantial, in other words, to prove that devotee is saying that Supreme Lord is everywhere, even within the pillar of an assembly hall. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, exhibited a wonderful form never before seen. This form was neither that of a man nor that of a lion. Head is a lion, body is a man. Thus the Lord appeared in his wonderful form of Narasimha Avatara in the assembly hall from the pillar. And he came in through the pillar because Prahlada said he is there in the pillar also. While Hiranyakashipu looked all around to find the source of the sound, that wonderful form of the Lord, which could not be ascertained to be either a man or a lion, emerged from the pillar. In amazement, Hiranyakashipu wondered, what is this creature that is half man and half moon? Hiranyakashipu studied the form of the Lord, trying to decide who the form of Narasimha Deva standing before him was. The Lord's form was extremely fearsome. Because of his angry eyes were red, which resembled molten gold. His shining mane, which expanded the dimension of his fearful face. His deadly teeth, his razor-sharp tongue, which moved about like a dueling sword. His ears were erect and motionless. His nostrils and gaping the mouth appeared like caves of a mountain. His jaws parted fearfully, and his entire body touched the sky. His neck was very short and thick, his chest broad, his waist thin, and hairs on his body as white as the rays of the moon. His arms, which resembled flanks of a soldier, spread in all directions as he killed the demons, rogues, and atheists with his conch shell, disc, club, lotus, and other natural weapons. So, Narasimha Avatara was a furious presentation of Lord Narayana. Hiranyakashipu murmured to himself, Lord Vishnu, who possesses a great mystic power, has made this plan to kill him. So Hiranyakashipu started murmuring. So he said, Lord Vishnu is planning to kill him. But what is the use of such an attempt? Who can fight with me? Thinking like this and taking up his club, Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord like an elephant. Hiranyakashipu jumped on the Lord Narasimhadeva like an elephant. Just as a small insect falls forcibly into a fire and an insignificant creature becomes invisible. When Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord, who was full of effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible. This is not at all astonishing, for the Lord is always situated in pure goodness. Formerly, during creation, he entered the dark universe and illuminated it by his spiritual effulgence. Therefore, thereafter, the great demon Hiranyakashipu, who was extremely angry, swiftly attacked Narasimhadeva with his club and began to beat him and fight with him. Lord Narasimha, however, captured the great demon along with his club, just as Garuda might capture the great snake. O Yudhishthira, O great son of Bharata, when Lord Narasimhadeva gave Hiranyakashipu a chance to slip from his hand, just as Garuda sometimes plays with a snake and lets to slip from his mouth, the demigods who had lost their abodes and who were hiding behind the clouds for fear of the demon Hiranyakashipu did not consider that incident very good. Indeed, they were perturbed. So even the gods were all frightened to see the form of Lord Narayana in the Narasimha avatar. When Hiranyakashipu was freed from the hands of Narasimhadeva, he falsely thought that the Lord was afraid of his prowess. Therefore, he After taking a little rest from the fight, he took up his sword and shield and again attacked the Lord with a great force. When a sinful man enjoys the material facilities, foolish people sometimes think, how is that this sinful man is enjoying, whereas pious man is suffering? By the will of the Supreme, a sinful man is sometimes given the chance to enjoy the material world as if he were not under the clutches of material nature, just so that he may be fooled. A sinful man who acts against the laws of nature must be punished, but sometimes he is given a chance to play, exactly like Hiranyakashipu when he was released from a chance from the hands of Narasimha. Hiranyakashipu was destined to be ultimately killed by Narasimha. But just to see him, but just to see the fun, the Lord gave him a chance to slip from his hands. Making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, who is extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakashipu, who was protecting himself with his sword and shield, leaving no gaps open. With the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakashipu moved from sometimes in the sky and sometimes on the earth, his eyes closed because of fear of Narasimha laughter. As a snake captures a mouse or a Garuda captures a very venomous snake, the Lord Narasimha captured Hiranyakashipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. As a Hiranyakashipu moved, his limbs here and there and all around, very much afflicted at being captured. Lord Narasimha placed his demon on his lap, supporting him with his thighs, and in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hand. Hiranyakashipu had received from Lord Brahma the benediction that he would not die on the land or in the sky. Therefore, to keep the promise of the Lord Brahma intact, Narasimha placed Hiranyakashipu's body on his lap, which is neither inside the house nor outside the house, and neither on the land nor on the sky. Hiranyakashipu had received the benediction that he would not die either during the day or night. Therefore, to keep this promise of Brahma, the Lord killed Hiranyakashipu in the evening, which is the end of a day and the beginning of the night, but is neither of the day or not night. Hiranyakashipu had taken a benediction from Lord Brahma that he would not die from any weapon or to be killed by any person, dead or alive. Therefore, just to keep the word of Lord Brahma, Lord Narasimha pierced Hiranyakashipu's body with his own nails, which were not weapons and were neither living nor dead. Indeed, the nails can be called dead, but at the same time, they can be said to be alive. To keep intact all of the Lord Brahma's benedictions, Lord Narasimha paradoxically but very easily killed the great demon Hiranyakashipu. Lord Narasimha's mouth and mane were sprinkled with drops of blood, and his fierce eyes, full of anger, were impossible to look at. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narasimha, decorated with a garland of intestines taken from Hiranyakashipu's abdomen, resembled a lion that was just killed an elephant. The hair on the Lord Narasimha's face, being sprinkled with the drops of blood, was reddish and looked very beautiful. Lord Narasimha pierced Hiranyakashipu's abdomen with his own nails, pulled out of the demon's intestines, and wore them as a garland, which enhanced his beauty. Thus the Lord became very fearsome, like a lion engaged in fighting an elephant. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana, who had many arms, first uprooted Hiranyakashipu's heart and then threw him aside and turned toward the demon soldiers. These soldiers had come in thousands to fight with him with raised weapons and were all and were very faithful followers of Hiranyakashipu, but Lord Narasimhadeva killed all of them merely with the end of this, with the ends of his nails. So Lord Narasimhadeva not only killed Hiranyakashipu and all the soldiers who came to protect him in the scene. The hair of Narasimhadeva's head shook the clouds and scattered them here and there. His glaring eyes stood the effluence of the luminaries in the sky, and his breathing agitated the seas and oceans. Because of his roaring, all the elephants in the world began to roar in fear. Airplanes were thrown into outer space and the upper planetary system by the hair of Narasimhadeva's head. Because of the pressure of the Lord's lotus feet, the earth appeared to slip from its position, and all the hills and mountains sprang up due to his intolerable force. Because of the Lord's bodily effulgence, both the sky and all directions diminished in their natural illumination. So all the gods came, manifesting a full effulgence, and a fearsome countenance. Lord Narasimhadeva, being very angry and finding no contestant to face his power and opulence, then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king Hiranyakashipu. Because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly. Everybody is afraid of going near to Narasimhadeva. Hiranyakashipu had been exactly like a fever of meningitis in the head of the three worlds. Thus, when the wives of the gods in the heavenly planet saw that the great demon had been killed by the personal hands of the supreme person of Godhead Narayana, their faces blossomed in great joy. The wives of the gods again and again showered flowers from heaven upon Lord Narasimhadeva like rain. At that time, the airplanes of the gods who desired to see the activities of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayana, crowded to the sky. The demigods began beating drums and kettle drums. And upon hearing them, angelic women began to dance. And while the chief of the Gandharvas sang sweetly. So Gandharvas started singing the praise of Narayana. My dear King Yudhishthira, the gods then approached the Lord. They were headed by Lord Brahma, King Indra, and Lord Shiva, and included great saintly persons, and the residents of Pitruloka, Siddhaloka, Vidyadharaloka, and the planet of the snakes. The Manus approached, and so did the chiefs of various other planets. The angelic dancers approached, as did the Gandharvas, the Charanas, the Akshas, and inhabitants of Kinnaraloka, the Vetalas, the inhabitants of Kimpurushaloka, and the personal servants of Vishnu like Sunanda and Kumada. All of them came near Lord Narasimha, who glowed with intense light. They individually offered their obeisances and prayers, their hands folded at their heads. Lord Brahma prayed, O Lord, you are unlimited and you possess unending potencies. No one can estimate or calculate your prowess and wonderful influence. For your actions are never polluted by the material energy. Through the material qualities, you very easily create the universe, maintain it, and again annihilate it. Yet you remain the same without deterioration. I therefore offer my respectable obeisance unto you. Lord Brahma submitted his prayers to Narasimhadeva. Lord Shiva said, the end of the millennium is the time for your anger. Now that is the insignificant demon Hiranyakashipu was being killed, O my Lord, who are naturally affectionate to your devotee. Kindly protect his own Prahlada, who is standing nearby as your fully surrendered devotee. King Indra said, O Supreme Lord Narayana, you are our deliverer and protector. Our shares of sacrifices, which are actually yours, have been recovered from the demon by you. Because of the demonic nature, King Hiranyakashipu was almost fearsome. Our hearts, which are your permanent abode, were all overtaken by him. Now, by your presence, the gloom and darkness in our hearts have been dissipated. O Lord, for those who always engage in your service, which is more exalted than liberation, all material opulence is insignificant. They do not even care for liberation, not to speak of the benefits of karma, artha, and dharma. All the saintly persons present offer their prayers in this way. O Lord, O supreme maintainers of those sheltered at your lotus feet, O originally personality of Godhead, the process of austerity and penance in which you have instructed us before is the spiritual power of your very self. It is by austerity that you create the material world, which lies dormant within you. This austerity was almost stopped by the activities of his demon. But now, by yourself appearing in the form of Narasimha Deva, which is meant just to give us protection, and by killing this demon, you have again approved the process of austerity. The inhabitants of Pitraloka prayed, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narasimha Deva, the maintainer of the religious principles of the universe. He was killed Hiranyakashipu, the demon, who by force enjoyed all the offerings of Shraddha ceremonies performed by our sons and grandsons on the anniversaries of our death, who drank the water with sesame seeds offered in holy places of pilgrimage. By killing this demon, O Lord, you have taken back all this stolen property from his abdomen, piercing it with your nails. We therefore wish to offer our respectable obeisance unto you. So all the gods submitted their prayers to Narasimha. The inhabitants of Siddhaloka prayed, O Lord Narasimha, because we belong to Siddhaloka, we automatically achieve perfection in all 8 kinds of mystic power. Yet Hiranyakashipu was so dishonest that by the strength of his power and austerity, he took away our powers. Thus, he became very proud of his mystic strength. Now, because this rogue has been killed by your nails, we offer our respectable obeisance unto you. On earth, there are many yogis who can exhibit some feeble mystic powers by manufacturing pieces of gold like magic, but the inhabitants of the planet Siddhaloka are actually extremely powerful in mysticism. They can fly from one planet to another planet without airplanes. This is called Lagima Siddhi. Lagima Siddhi. They can actually become very light and fly in the sky. By severe type of austerity, however, Hiranyakashipu excelled all the inhabitants of Siddhaloka and created disturbances for them. The residents of Siddhaloka were also beaten by the powers of Hiranyakashipu. Now that Hiranyakashipu had been killed by the Lord, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka also felt relieved. The inhabitants of Vidyadharaloka prayed, our acquired power to appear and disappear in various ways according to varieties of meditation has banned by that foolish Hiranyakashipu because of his pride in his superior bodily strength and his ability to conquer others. Now the Supreme Personality of God has killed him just as if the demon were an animal unto the Supreme Personality, unto the Supreme Personality of pastime, form of Lord Narasimha Deva, we eternally offer our respectable obeisances. The inhabitants of Nagaloka said, the most sinful Hiranyakashipu took away all the jewels on our hoods and all our beautiful wives. Now, since his chest has been pierced by your males, you are the source of all pleasures to our wives. Thus, we together offer our respectable obeisance unto you. All the Manus offered their prayers as follows. As your order carried, O Lord, we the Manus are the lawgivers for human society. But because of the temporary supremacy of this great demon Hiranyakashipu, our laws or for maintaining Varnashrama Dharma are also destroyed. O Lord, now that you have killed this great demon, we are in our normal condition. Kindly order us, your eternal servants, but to do what to do now. The Prajapatis offered their prayers as follows. O Supreme Lord, the prayer of Gandharva Muchu, Vayam Vibhote Natanatya Gayaka, Enme Twardirya Balautpodo, Krutaha, Sa Esha Nito Bhavata, Dashami Madam, Kimat Katastam Kushalaya Kalpate. This is the prayer of inhabitants of Gandharva Loka. Pray, Your Lordship, we ever engage in your service by dancing and singing in dramatic performances, but this Hiranyakashipu, by the influence of his bodily strength and valor, brought us under his subjugation. Now he has been brought to this low condition by your Lordship. What benefit can result from the activities of such an upstart as Hiranyakashipu? The inhabitants of Charana planet also said, O Lord, because of you have destroyed the demon Hiranyakashipu, who is always a stake in the hearts of all honest men, all devotees of Narayana. We are now relieved, and we eternally take shelter of your lotus feet, which award the conditioned soul liberation from materialistic contamination. The inhabitants of Yakshaloka also prayed, O controller of the 24 elements, we are considered the best servants of your Lordship because of rendering services pleasing to you. Yet we engage as a palanquin carriers by the order of Hiranyakashipu, the son of Diti. O Lord, the form of Narasimha Deva, you know how this demon gave trouble to everyone. But now you have killed him, and his body is mixing with the 5 material elements. The inhabitants of Kimpurushalok also said, we are insignificant living entities, and you are the supreme person of Godhead, the supreme controller. Therefore, how can we offer suitable prayers unto you? When this demon was conducted and condemned by devotees because they were disgusted with him, he was then killed by you. The inhabitants of Vaitalika Loka said, Dear Lord, because of chanting your spotless glories in great assemblies and arenas of sacrifice, we were accustomed to great respect from everyone. This demon, however, usurped that position. Now, to our great fortune, you have killed the great demon exactly as one cures chronic disease. The Kinnaras also said, O Supreme Controller, we are ever existing servants of your Lordship. But instead of rendering service to you, we were engaged by this demon in his service, constantly and without remuneration. This sinful man has now been killed by you. Therefore, O Narasimha Deva, our master, we offer our respectable obeisances unto you. Please continue to be our patron. The associates of Lord Vishnu and Vaikuntaloka offered this prayer. O Lord, our supreme giver of shelter, today we have seen your wonderful form of as Lord Narasimha, meant for the good fortune of all the world. O Lord, we can understand that Hiranyakashipu was the same Jaya who engaged in your service but was cursed by the Brahmanas and who thus received the body of a demon. We understand that his having now been killed is your special mercy upon him. Thus ends the Bhagavad Bhaktivedanta purports of 7th canto, 8th chapter of Srimad Mahabhagavatam, entitled Lord Narasimha Deva appeared and also slays the king of demons Hiranyakashipu. That ends the 8th chapter. Now, in this Prahlada pacifies Lord Narasimha Deva with prayers. As related in this chapter, Prahlada, following the order of Lord Brahma, pacified the Lord Narasimha when the Lord was extremely angry after having killed Hiranyakashipu. After Hiranyakashipu was killed, the Lord continued to be very angry, and the gods headed by Lord Brahma could not control his angerness. Even Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, the constant companion of Narayana, could not dare come before Lord Narasimha Deva. Then Lord Brahma asked Prahlada to go forward and pacify the Lord's anger. Prahlada, being confident of the affection of his master, Lord Narasimha Deva, was not afraid at all. Prahlada was not afraid of Narasimha Deva at all. He very gravely appeared before the Lord's lotus feet and offered him respectful obeisances. Lord Narasimha Deva, being very much affectionate toward Prahlada, put his hand on Prahlada's head. And because of being personally touched by the Lord, Prahlada immediately achieved Brahmajnana, spiritual knowledge. Because Lord Narasimha Deva put his hand on the Prahlada's head, because of being personally touched by the Lord, Prahlada Maharaja immediately achieved Brahmajnana, spiritual knowledge. Thus he offered his prayers to the Lord in full spiritual knowledge and full devotional ecstasy. The instructions given by Prahlada in the form of his prayers are as follows. Prahlada's prayers. It is very interesting. You should read this sloka. Prahlada uvacha Brahmadaya suragana manoyato siddha sattvatanaya tadayino vachasa pravahai naraditam purugunai niruganapupai kinto ishtu marghati sameva parihagrate harirugrajate. Prahlada's the meaning of prayer is, I am not proud of being able to offer prayers to the Supreme Lord Godhead. Prahlada says like that. I simply take shelter of the mercy of the Lord. For without devotion, one cannot appease him. One cannot please the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by dint and high parentage of great opulence. Learning, austerity, penance, or mystic power. Indeed, these are never pleasing to Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana, for nothing can please him but pure devotional service only please him. Even if a non-devotee is a Brahmana qualified with the 12 Brahmanical symptoms, he can be very dear to the Lord. Whereas if a person born in a family of a dog eaters is a devotee, the Lord can accept his prayers. The Lord does not need anyone's prayers. But if a devotee offers his prayers to the Lord, the devotees benefits greatly. Ignorant persons born in slow families, therefore, can sincerely offer heartfelt prayers to the Lord, and the Lord will accept them. As soon as one offers his prayers to the Lord, he is immediately situated on the Brahman platform. Lord Narasimha Deva appeared for the benefit of all human society, not only for Prahlada's personal benefit. The fierce form of Lord Narasimha Deva may appear most awful to a non-devotee, but to the devotee, the Lord is always affectionate, as he is in the other forms. Conditioned life in the material world is actually extremely fearful. Indeed, a devotee is not afraid of anything else. Fear of material existence is due to a false ego. Therefore, the ultimate goal of the life for every living entity is to attain the position of being servant of the Lord. The miserable condition of living entities in the material world cannot be remedied only by the mercy of the Lord. Although there are so-called material protectors like Lord Brahma and other gods, or even one's own father, they are unable to do anything if one is neglected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, one who has fully taken the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet can be saved from the onslaught of material nature. Therefore, every living entity should be unattracted by materialistic life, so called happiness, and should take shelter of the Lord Narayana by all means. That is the mission of human life. To be attracted by sense gratification is simply foolish. Whether one is a devotee of the Lord or is a non devotee does not depend upon one's birth in the high or low family. Even Lord Brahma and the goddess of fortune, Moksh, cannot achieve the full favor of the Lord, whereas devotee can easily attain such devotional service. The Lord's mercy is bestowed equally upon everyone, regardless of whether one is high or low in birth. Because of Prahlada was blessed by Narada Muni, Prahlada became a great devotee of Narayana. The Lord always saves the devotee from impersonalists and voidists. The Lord is present in everyone's heart as a super soul to give the living being a protection and all the benefits. Thus, the Lord acts sometimes as the killer of and sometimes as the protector. One should not accuse the Lord for any discrepancies. It is His plan that we see varieties of life within the material world. All of them are ultimately His mercy. Although the entire cosmic manifestation is non-different, the material world is nonetheless different from the spiritual world. Only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord can one understand how the wonderful material nature acts. For example, although Lord Brahma appeared from the lotus feet that had grown from the abdomen of Garbhodakasya Vishnu, he could not understand what to do after his appearance. He was attacked by two demons, Madhu and Kaitava, who took away Vedic knowledge, but the Lord killed them and entrusted to Lord Brahma the Vedic knowledge. Thus the Lord appears in every millennium in the societies of gods, human beings, animals, saints, and aquatics. All such incarnations are meant to protect the devotee and kill the demons. But this killing and protecting does not reflect any sense of partiality on the part of the Supreme Lord. The conditioned soul is always attracted by the external energy. Therefore, he is subjected to lust and greed, and he suffers under the conditions. The Lord Narasimha Deva is pleased with the prayers of Prahlada. Those interested in silently worshipping the Lord Narayana in solitary places may be eligible for liberation themselves, but a pure devotee is always aggrieved to see others suffering. Therefore, not caring for his own liberation, he always engages in preaching by glorifying the Lord Narayana. Prahlada, therefore, had tried to deliver his classmates and class friends by preaching the Vishnu Bhakti and had never remained silent. Although being silent, observing austerities and penances, learning the Vedic literature, undergoing ritualistic ceremonies, living in a solitary place, and performing japa and transcendental meditation are approved means of liberation. They are meant for non-devotees or for cheaters who want to live at the expense of others. A pure devotee, however, being free from all such deceptive activities, is able to see the Lord face to face. The atomic theory of the composition of cosmic manifestation is not factual. The Lord is the cause of everything, and therefore He is the cause of this creation. One should therefore always engage in devotional service by offering respectful obeisances to the Lord, offering prayers, working for the Lord, worshipping the Lord in the temple, always remembering the Lord, and always hearing about His transcendental activities. Without these 6 kinds of activity, one cannot attain devotional service. Prahlada thus offered his prayers to the Supreme Lord Narasimha Deva, begging his mercy at every step. Lord Narasimha Deva was pacified by Prahlada Maharaja's prayers and wanted to give him benedictions by such which Prahlada could procure all kinds of material facilities. Prahlada, however, was not misled by material facilities. Rather, he wanted to remain always servant of the Lord. So this is the chapter 19, and we will read tomorrow. Chapter 19 is the same summary what I said to you now. Om Namostanantaya Sahasramurtaye Sahasrapadakshirpa Sahasranamne Kusharshte Sahasrakoti Yugadarane Namaha Sahasrakoti Yugadarane Namaha Akashat Paridam Metagit Sagaram Sarvadeva Namaskara Sri Kesham Pragatyo Namaha Sarva Vedeshat Punyam Sarva Tirteshu Yat Phalam Tatparam Purnapti Vasanat Vasayavasya Vashtante Jagatrem Sarva Bhutani Vasusi Vasayamrute Kayana Vacha Mansendreva Buddhyatmanama Prakrute Samavat Karomi Yat Sagaram Parasmai नारायणाय समर्पयामि नारायणाय समर्पयामि